Welcome to our first part of the read aloud of the Matchbook Diary. We will be reading this text over the course of the next 2 days. Our book today is going to remind us of the importance of holding on to the memories that you have with your family. I want you to look at the cover of this book. This book is titled The Matchbook Diary, and I want you to think about how do these matchboxes work like a diary? Kind of interesting. And you might not be super familiar with what matchboxes are because they really aren't used too often nowadays, but they hold matches inside of them. So I'm wondering why a little box that holds matches is going to serve like a diary. Pick whatever you like the most. Then I'll tell you its story. There's so many things here. You'll know it when you see it, and then I'll know something about you, the great-granddaughter I've only heard about. So, you like boxes just like me. You smoke cigars? No. Me either. There's no cigars in it anyway. What's inside? Not just one story, but lots. What's in the little boxes? My diary. What's a diary? A way to remember what happens to you. Usually it's a book people write in. When I was your age, I had a lot I wanted to remember, but I couldn't read or write. So I started this. Open the first one. What is it? An olive pit. I put it in my palm, and I'm right back in Italy. That's where I grew up. Lots of olive trees there. Life was hard. The other reason I saved it. No floor in our house, just dirt. No heat in winter except the fire under the cooking pot. And sometimes not enough food. When I'd tell my mother I was hungry, she'd give me an olive pit to suck on. It helped. Who's this? My father. He went to America to work. He sent money home. Lots of Italian men did. I was a baby when he left. All I remembered about him was his mustache. Once he sent pictures so we wouldn't forget him. My father never went to school. Back then, most kids had to help their parents all day. He had to get someone to write his letters home from America. When no one came, we had a problem. 4 older sisters, my mother and me. None of us could read. We had to take it to the schoolmaster. He had a son, older than me, who could read and write. Every day that boy wrote down what happened in a diary. Every year he got a new one. Red leather with a silk bookmark. I had no idea how to write, but I was wild to have my own diary. I want one too. That's my girl. Why do you think the great-grandfather says I was wild to have my own diary? What does that say about his dream to be able to write? There was a year with no rain, no wheat, no macaroni. The schoolmaster wrote a letter to my father for us. We waited. A long time later, a letter came back with tickets to sail to America. When we left, my grandmother cried in the road, "You'll eat the food there and forget your home," over and over. We took a horse-drawn carriage to Naples. It was the first time I'd seen a car, and drinks and bottles, and the ocean. We slept 3 nights on the floor in the steamship station, waiting for our boat. That's where I found the match boxes. I'd told my grandmother I wouldn't forget her or anything else. That's when I started the diary. I want you to think, why do you think the great-grandfather collects his memories in matchboxes? What do you think about using matchboxes as a diary? Pause the video to reflect. Our ship left. We were in the bottom, where the motion was the worst. People seasick, moaning. My sisters took me up on deck. You like that hairpin? When I found it, I looked up, and high above us were rich ladies in big hats on the upper decks. People said there was gold lying on the ground in America. I thought my mother and sisters would look like those women soon. We were headed for Ellis Island in New York. Someone told me that men would stick button hooks in our eyes there. What's a button hook? A metal tool for closing up shoes, before there were laces. I had nightmares about the button hook men. Then we had bigger problems. A storm hit us, maybe a hurricane. The boat bucked like a horse. I saw a bunch of the sailors praying together. Not good. St. Christopher is supposed to protect travelers. People threw medallions of him in the ocean, begging him to spare us. After 3 days, the water calmed. How long did it take you to fly across the country? 5 hours? That trip from Italy took 19 days. I know because I put a sunflower seed shell in this box every morning. Then everyone was calling, La Statua della Libertà. I ran up to the deck. There was New York. A boat came up to ours, selling food. Our neighbors on the ship bought bananas and gave my family one. I bit into it and spat it out. I didn't know you were supposed to peel it. And that's where we are going to stop our read aloud for today. Make sure to tune in to Bloom's to see what your reading strategy lesson is for today. Today, you are going to be getting some background on Ellis Island, which is the place where great-grandfather and his family will be going when they reach the shores of America.